Lena Westerholm, you are Head of Sustainable Affairs at ABB.
Yes.
Martin Hedström has a beautiful title. You're Head of Visions and Innovation at Electrolux. Yes. And Mattias Nilsson, Sales and Marketing Manager at Stena Recycling Sweden. So welcome, all of you. Lena, you have worked as Head of Sustainability for 10 years or so.
Yes.
And since 1 year, you're also responsible globally for sustainability in the area of robotics.
Yes.
Can you describe how sustainability has changed kind of from being something nice, taken care of by the marketing department, to something that affects all major decisions in ABB?
What has not changed during these years? I mean, first, sustainability is such a broad area. You know, we talk about health, safety, integrity, diversity, inclusion, and not at least the environmental.
Focus here on industrial.
On the industrial, I would say, if you go back 10 years, it was like an environmental department taking care of these topics, and it was not integrated at all in the same way as it is today. And it was very strong focus on mitigating risks. That was what it was all about. That does not give so much energy, and we didn't talk about innovations in the same way that you see here Fredrik raising today. So that is one big thing. I would say you don't talk about sustainability today without also talking about competitiveness in the same time. And another big change is that, you know, everybody are working with this in the company today. So it's really, really on the board's agenda, on the management team agenda. Everybody are involved, which also means that if you look at the business strategy and the sustainability strategy, they are interlinked in a completely different way. That's also a big change. Going back like 10 years, you have some environmental goals maybe floating around, but it's not at all like that today.
And now within a few weeks, you will present a new strategy for the coming 10 years.
Yes, we have a very exciting work going on in the company. So we will present our new sustainability strategy 2030 in November, and for sure circular economy will be a very heavy part of that work. And also here you can see the whole company is involved in making this strategy. And I mean, of course, one important trigger for us to taking these steps have been customers and their requirements, and you can also see how they have changed over these years.
So this has become core business.
Very
Mattias,
much.
You are right now building a new organization at Stena Recycling.
That's right.
Why?
Quite simply because there is a demand from this from our customers.
But what is the organization about?
The organization is about, we call it Stena Circular Consulting. We are now increasing our offer to the customers and our business model to include circularity as a service, and not just only focusing on the material once it ends up in our recycling facilities.
So you will actually help your customers to reduce their waste?
True, absolutely.
And wouldn't that be to kind of disrupt your own business?
Absolutely. We are actually disrupting our own business on many reasons. One of them being that if someone should disrupt Stena Recycling's business, it should be ourselves, of course. But also that we have so much to offer the customers. We are involved in the entire value chain with logistics, with materials, with the high-tech recycling facilities and so on. And now we decided to be smart from the start to increase the focus on design for recycling, for instance, being one, so that the products being produced are actually recyclable in the future, much like the Volvo Fredrik talked about.
And I mean, this is a totally new business area for Stena Recycling, I guess, you know, being a consultant as well. Yeah. But how do you, I mean, are you invited to the companies, to your customers, to take part in their design process, or?
Yeah. Absolutely. We have several different projects running, and we have done this for several years. But now we decided to scale it up and do it as a proper business area to actually expand it and scale it.
We'll meet one of your new consultants later on. Martin, 1 year ago, at the very first circular initiative here at John Eriksson-hallen in Stockholm at the time, Electrolux, where you work, gave a promise to develop a vacuum cleaner entirely made by recycled post-consumer plastics. We'll soon hear whether you managed to fulfill that promise, but tell us about the thinking behind. Why did you get yourself launched into this?
Well, first of all, it's kind of a natural next step for us because we have been working with sustainability as a key strategic focus over at least a couple of decades. And we have for the last 10, 11 years received the Dow Jones Sustainability Index as a company, but it has been more, I would say, operations, logistics, manufacturing focused in the past, which was the paradigm in the industry. Now we are seeing that we saw Lena, we heard Lena talk about it, and we heard Fredrik talk about it, that it actually is a demand from consumers today. A demand that we really need to up our ante when it comes to recyclability and circularity in our thinking. And that's why we, with Stena, formed a joint partnership with the objective to make circular and recycled materials, the market for that, as well functioning as for virgin. When it comes to price, we heard about productivity. Exactly.
It's a big undertaking to create a market of recycling of plastics as well functioning as the market of metal, where there are global prices and so on.
We need partners to do it. We need to work together.
But when you then choose to make something very concrete, like a vacuum cleaner of recycled plastics, why did you? I mean, you could have started this new market in easily other ways.
First of all, the vacuum cleaner is a very visible product. It actually has a shell of plastics, which means that it has a design challenge to it as well. We have done it for a number of years in vacuum cleaners, not at all at the extent that we have done now with this team. But we needed to start somewhere. And for us, you said that I had vision and innovation in my title, and I do. Vision means that we need to point out where we're going in the future, and innovation means that we need to start small, test and learn, and that's why vacuum cleaner is a good starting point for us.
You could have picked a laundry machine, but you picked it. So stay on, because we'll move on and learn. Where's the camera? There or there? And learn what actually happened with that promise from Electrolux to build a vacuum cleaner totally made by recycled plastic. Here it is.
My friends used to tell me that life sucks, and then you die. But then Electrolux and Stena Recycling decided to make my life suck forever. Lucky me.
So, please, Louise Eriksson, circular design specialist and one of those consultants that Mattias just talked about at Stena Recycling, and Jens Leffler, Sustainability Lead Wellbeing Electrolux. You have so long title, all of you. Tell us about this journey.
Yes, in this project we wanted to show that it is possible to create a more sustainable product through circular thinking and circular design. We also wanted to create a good example of a cross-industry collaboration within a circular economy context. And we wanted to contribute, of course, to creating this well-functioning market for recycled plastics.
And as Martin said, this is extremely important for us at Electrolux. But for us it was also important to get to know our products and follow our products through their entire life cycle, and to understand what it takes for us to become more circular. So we set up to do this task, and we said that we would do a 100% recycled and 100% recyclable vacuum cleaner. And we had already, before we started this project, went to our suppliers and asked for more recycled material in our subcomponents. But we're by far not at 100% yet. So we started looking at actual old discarded vacuum cleaners, products that we collected from Stena's facility in Halmstad. And we took them and we tested them, and we saw that these are actually, a lot of them are fully functioning product still, and all of them have fully functioning components. So we started salvaging components from these cleaners, and together with recycled plastics from Stena, we built something.
Exactly. So we wanted to save and rescue some of the components from discarded vacuum cleaners, but we also wanted to produce components from post-consumer recycled plastics. And then we used the plastics coming out of the electronics recycling process that Stena has in Halmstad. Looks like this. This is the granulate that comes out of the process. And we collaborated with a partner or a molder in Småland to produce the components for us. We wanted to use the material as it is when it comes out of the process, so without changing anything or adding anything to it. And what goes into the process is old electronic products. So it might very well be so that these components include parts of old vacuum cleaners.
Most likely. So, and then we took the plastics and together with the components and created a number of prototypes that we then sent to our testing facilities and did basically our end of line test, so what we do before we put the product on the market. And for example, we tested performance, we tested sound power, pulling the cord winder in and out 10,000 times, or blocking the cleaner off and on for 5 days. And we saw that we passed almost every test, and with small magnifications, we actually did pass all the tests. So we created something together that we could have then put on the market. So yeah, from this project, we had done something now that is 100% recycled material and reused components that is actually fully functioning, that works as a normal vacuum cleaner. And in this project, in this product, there's no virgin material at all. So that's actually pretty amazing, I would say, right?
Yeah, it looks very normal.
But it is normal. That's the thing. I mean, these are old used components and old used products that we grinded down, and we made a completely normal, fully functioning vacuum cleaner.
There is no difference in capacity?
None.
Would this be more expensive than a brand new one or a virgin one?
We are working on that process. I mean, yes and no. It is so much dependent on where we go from here in terms of what structures we put up, how we collaborate in the future, and also what materials you get in, so what the price of material becomes in the future.
And also how to scale up. I mean, we did this in a very small series. So
of course, yeah.
Yeah, we only have a few of these.
Yeah, this is, both of you, and I start with Luisen, the challenges, I mean, this is a really happy outcome, but there have been challenges.
There have been challenges, yes. One thing is that it has been difficult to understand how to work with the post-consumer recycled materials when it comes to specifications and test standards and material requirements. So when we started this project in the beginning, we could see that Stena's material specification wasn't fully compatible with Electrolux material requirements.
Okay.
So our experts have been digging deep into that question, spent a lot of hours trying to understand how we can overcome those differences and align regarding that.
And then when you choose, for example, you have different colors here. This is gray and black, but I saw another one that you had some red spots in it and so on. I mean, to choose the colors, and you make it from recycled plastic, is that easy?
No, that's actually, the colors are from the reused components.
Yes.
So as of now, I mean, the recycled plastic is black or grayish. And that's where we are.
Stick to that.
Yeah, so that's what we have to stick to currently. I mean, the industry is evolving, and I know Stena has some advanced sorting processes to go towards more colored materials.
Okay.
But in terms of what is commercially available, black and gray is basically what we have
If there is
today.
red plastic at Stena, you have to use red plastic.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
That's interesting. Jens, from your point of view, the challenges during this process?
I mean, the big part is, I think this has been challenging, and it's with all these type of circular collaborations, it's about collaborating on many different levels, and you need to involve a lot of different partners. And in this collaboration, we have been collaborating from the very top of both companies to very down to the people sorting or screwing together and testing vacuum cleaners. So that has to work. But then what we found is that actually, once you get all the people to the table, the collaboration wasn't that hard. The challenge is to get the right people to the table, but the synergies are there for us to just, I mean, you see them right away, but...
Yeah, they're quite easy to understand. We have been listening here to Smart from the start, and then a kind of and traditionally Stena has come in as the last part in the chain, receiving the discarded machine and then, recycle it, hopefully. Now you have a new role as consultant. What will you change? I mean...
It is important, to come into with this information and this knowledge already in the design phase. Studies show that 80% or up to 80% of a product's environmental impact is decided already on the drawing table. So we need the designers and the product developers to have the right information from start to make the right decisions, to be able to create products that are reusable and repairable and recyclable and that have a long life.
Yeah. And we see this now, going forward from this project, we have done something that is amazing, but there's still so much left towards the circular economy. And there's a lot of knowledge gaps that we need to bridge now, and we need to learn more. So we are actually continuing this collaboration, and we're also collaborating with Halmstad University to continue to test cleaners that come into Stena's facilities to learn more about what are they like at their end of life. And then, we set out to do something that was 100% recyclable. We have not done something that is 100% recyclable yet, but that is a work that continues, and that is super important for us at Electrolux, since we are in this to create a functioning market for recycled material.
Thank you, both of you, Jens Lefter och Nils Eriksson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to my panel. So, Martin, are you proud?
I am super proud, really.
One insight you got during this work was that important parts in the old discarded vacuum cleaners actually are fully functional.
Yes.
What are your conclusions?
They are many. Obviously, you can look at this from a human behavior perspective, that we actually throw away things that are fully functional just because we have that kind of society right now. It's so easy in a linear society to just get new solutions for your everyday needs, because that's where we are working. Another conclusion is, are we designing our products according to real consumer behavior? Should we have less material and less, shall we say, weight and waste in the products just to fit the way they actually work with them?
Less quality.
Yeah, exactly. That's an extreme interpretation. I'm not saying we are going there. I think rather the opposite. How can we design products that actually live longer in consumers' homes? That is the step number one for me in circularity.
And Mattias, plastics, there is no standards, and there are 1,000 different recipes for plastics. And as I understand here, you can't mix them. You can't mix them.
That's true.
So then it's extremely challenging to recycle plastics. Would an EU directive be the answer? Or what is the answer of this lack of standardization?
I think there are many answers to that question. I think the legislators will do their thing to emphasize and push the use of recycled materials. We have seen legislation in the end-of-life vehicles, in the car production, that you should reach a certain level of percentage of recycling and so on. So they will do their job. But I think the real effort is in the consumer demand, of course. The demand is out there, and we need to create a marketplace and a way to get hold of recycled plastics. We have standards for virgin plastics, of course. They are quite, well scheduled standards. But for recycled materials, these are totally new when it comes to plastics. And here we really need to put this out in the market to create a marketplace, to create standards, and let the legislation also provide a way. The legislation cannot be tougher for recycled material.
And it is today,
virgin.
isn't it?
I think right of today, I'm not sure, but the trends are that I've seen from reports that recycled materials are really being narrowed down.
But there are standards for metals.
Yes, absolutely.
Them. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Absolutely. And metals and iron, they are traded on all over the world at exchanges and trading and rates and so on. But plastics, still not yet.
We have got a question from somebody in the audience, and Pontus will phrase it for us.
Yes, thank you. I think this is a question that many are interested in. Will it be possible to buy this vacuum cleaner in a store?
Martin.
I guess that's to me. This one, not yet. But of course, we are doing this because we want in a very near future to have the learnings of this in our full vacuum cleaner range to start with, and then expanding further.
Lena, we were talking about the lack of common standards. And you, I mean, ABB is a global company. Yes. How do you define the different needs, or how do you define the standards when you have to deal with Asia, Africa, Europe, and so on?
Yeah, this whole area is a mess, I would say. If you go back 20 years, we worked with life cycle assessment and we developed environmental product declarations for the motors, for the robots, etc. But the customers didn't ask for it. Today, it's opposite. Different customers around the world are asking us to present the data for the products in different ways. So it's just an administrative burden, not leading to better environment. So this is really, really a true challenge, I would say. We want to spend the time where it's actually leading to real improvements and not to the administrative burden. So
and this is a real obstacle that France is defining and asking for some kind of standard.
I would say so. You know,
doing something differently.
Yeah, Brazilian customer, a French customer, Swedish customers. It's great that they are asking for this, but for a customer, to us, Stena or Electrolux, there's no use getting a product declaration unless they can compare with the competitors' product declarations. So we really, really are asking for this to be standardized.
Yeah. Mattias, is there, I mean, we were talking about recycled plastics here. Is there demand for it? And who is asking for it?
Recycled plastic, absolutely. I think demand is huge. And when you see in, business to consumer, the consumer are asking for sustainable products. And then the material is something that they really can recognize. If I recycle this, maybe it will end up as a new product later on, and that drives the entire society today.
And you have Volvo Cars, you have IKEA. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Martin, last question, and not too long. I mean, you're also a global company, Electrolux, and you have to deal with different demands. And I guess the demand for recycled vacuum cleaners made by recycled plastic is not that high in Asia, for example. How do you adapt your marketing and your offering to all these different tastes, needs, and so on? When it comes to sustainable products.
Exactly. There is actually a prevailing or increasing awareness and demand in all parts of the world. It starts, of course, at different levels. And we cannot design a product with European criteria for a global world. But for sure, the recycled materials will be part of the content.
But I think water shortage is one thing that is...
If we do studies across the world, water and energy are topics that come up as top 3 of concerns all across the world. Actually, paradoxically, not in Sweden when it comes to water, because we believe we have that endlessly.
So you emphasize the standards of energy or water more in one country than in another, then you emphasize other things.
Yeah, we need to think as global as possible, and as regional as necessary. But that means that water and energy are always top of mind when we specify products, as is materials.
Thank you, dear panel.